and hopefully this next hour will be an opportunity for us to take a good broad brushstroke look at the options that are available to us, when we should use those options, and most importantly, when we should not use those options. And then we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that that TRP brings to the table to empower you to communicate with your members in the interests of engaging members, to keep them loyal, and to keep them retained over the long term. A number of you I haven't met before, so it's nice to meet you virtually. I look forward to having conversations with you and hopefully meeting face-to-face sometime soon. Given that, if you don't have a lot of familiarity with TRP, I'd just like to quickly give you a quick overview of who we are, what we do, and why we do it. So we are the only firm in the global fitness industry that focuses exclusively on member loyalty and retention. All of our products are built around that. Our mission and philosophy is built around that, and we work with great clubs around the world, many of them you'll see here, that are really engaged with their members and are really focused on making sure that their members remain loyal and remain retained over the long period. We're primarily a research firm. We use our research to develop our software, and then we develop a great deal of training and coaching programs and classes to work with you folks to help you really kind of balance the paradigm. The paradigm here in the industry tends to be very sales focused, so we're giving you the opportunity to balance that so that you are sales, loyalty, and retention focused. So quickly, just as an overview, here's who we are. We are a UK company. We're based in Bath, England. We're part of Jonas Software, but we run independently. So we are absolutely independent of Jonas. We have offices in US, Australia, Canada, as well as our UK home base. And we have a seamless integration with membership systems. So the products that we provide our customers integrate seamlessly with their member management system, which makes communicating with and retaining members an easier undertaking. And most importantly, I think one of the things that we really are very proud of is our partnership with URSA, and we're currently in the process of doing a North American member loyalty study. And we'll give you some information at the end of the webinar to help you get involved with that. So our business model is pretty straightforward. We start with our industry insight. We currently have about 15 million member records under our management, and these are all managed anonymously, but we track trends in the industry. So when it comes to knowing what's going on in the industry at a particular time, we like to think that TRP is at the forefront of that. We do quarterly research publications, not the least of which is our URSA retention report. We provide that industry focus, and we believe we are experts. Expert is kind of a loaded term, but we think we know a little bit. And then we use that to develop our products. We get feedback and learning from the field, and that's our customers. And then we use that to really complete the business model cycle. Whenever I talk about retention and loyalty, regardless of if we're discussing e-communications or face-to-face communications with members, I always feel it's my duty and actually my great pleasure to talk about this fellow here, who is a fellow named Frederick Reichelt. And many of you who are customers of TRP are deploying a tremendous tool that Frederick developed with a team at Bain & Company called the Net Promoter Score. But he said something that to me really does fundamentally encapsulate what it is that we need to focus on in the industry. And here's a quote from his book, The Loyalty Effect. Retention is not simply one more operating statistic. It is a central gauge that integrates all dimensions of a business and measures how well that firm is creating value for its customers. So you'll notice that he's not saying profits, he's not saying revenue, he's not saying bottom line, he's not saying expenses, he's saying retention. And if we focus on retention, it really does indicate sustainable growth, and it is really the single indicator for measuring sustainable growth. Highly recommend that you read the book, The Loyalty Effect. It's a great read. All right, now let's start at the beginning. We have, or someone thinks that we have this man to thank for what we're talking about today, which is essentially our way of communicating here in the 21st century, which is the Internet. So without the Internet, we would not have email, we would not have text messaging, we would not have push messaging via apps, etc. So thank you, Al Gore, for starting that. And it is an overwhelming task for us to really embrace. In our industry especially, where we're trying to communicate with hundreds, if not thousands, of members on an ongoing basis. It's overwhelming to think about what are the best ways for us to communicate with our members. This is an interesting little graph, and take a look at it because it really does give you a sense of how far we've come and how quickly we're coming in this industry of connectedness and interconnectivity. So here we are in 2014, and you'll see that we really have come from really the early days of TCP/IP and file transfer protocol all the way through to the invention of the Internet, and no, Al Gore did not really invent it. Some of the early web browsers, some of the early communications programs, and then today we're at 2014, and so what is it that we want to talk about in terms of communicating here in 2014 and beyond with our members? So here's the agenda I'd like to cover today. And it's really a basic agenda because I'm trying to cover really all of the facets of what we use to communicate with our members through a connected way. But with each one of these agenda points, we could actually create an entire training around it because the information and the opportunity is so very, very deep. But I do want to talk a little bit about deployment versus design, and today we're going to talk about the deployment of e-communications. So how do we deploy it? How do we get that messaging out to members versus talking about what makes good e-communication design, what makes good email design, what makes a good text message or push message. I also want to discuss about e-communications being a double-edged sword. You know, are we using it too much? Are we using it not enough? Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Or are we just right? So today we're going to talk about email, SMS, which is really an acronym for short message service, and push messaging, which is something that is done via an app. Then I really want to dig a little deeper into email because I think primarily folks are leveraging email as their primary means of communication with their members. Using direct mail, and certainly the option of oh, Sophie, did you just come on? Can everyone hear me? Okay. Then I also want to talk about what's in your inbox. We will talk a little bit about automated emails, which is a real powerful tool that we provide our customers. We want to also talk about when we shouldn't be emailing members, and I'll tell you about the 28-day point of no return. Then I want to talk about text messaging because it really is a 100% solution. Even though we tend to read our email on a spotty basis, every single text message that we get across, we typically will read, but we want to leverage that carefully. And then I want to talk about push notifications, which is kind of the newest way to provide messaging to our members, and it is, pun intended here, applicable. So here we go. So deployment versus design. Here on the screen we have a couple of really cool, nicely designed emails, and certainly how your email looks is going to be very, very indicative of how well your email is absorbed, how well your email is read, and how well your email is responded to. But what I want to talk about right now is not just what you say and how you say it, but when you say it. So when we deploy our communications, and this goes for email as well as for text messaging and push messaging, It's when you say it, making sure that the message is timed appropriately for the intended audience. So, is e-communications a double-edged sword? Well, absolutely it is. Partly because, especially with email, email is free opportunity to communicate, but we don't want to abuse that. So, understanding how to balance the freedom that you have with reaching out to members and communicating with them, but also understanding when is it time to stop, when is too much, and is email too hot, too cold, or just right. There's a nice little bowl of porridge for you for those of you who haven't had lunch yet. So here's our menu: email, SMS, push messaging. And there are other tools that we can use in order to communicate with our members, but I really want to focus on these three. And really, email is kind of chief among them because it's the one that obviously has had the greatest traction in the industry up to this point. SMS, automated text messaging, has really come of age, and push messaging through apps is really making its influence felt. So email, SMS, push messaging. So let's start with email. What's in your inbox? We're all consumers. Every day we get emails. Some of us probably get dozens, if not hundreds, of emails. And every once in a while we get emails that appear, that kind of surprise us because they're not emails that we necessarily expected to get from someone who's trying to solicit our business, from someone who's trying to get us to fill out a survey or to connect with a website. The fact of the matter is that email is private, and it should be treated as a private means of communicating with folks. And as a result, as a club operator, you need to make sure that all of your emails are permission-based, number one, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with the CAN-SPAM Act, which really does provide us the rules of the road, if you will, when it comes to email. But it also has to be personally compelling. I belong to a small gym near my home, and it's ironic to me that I, who have been a member of this club for now going on to 15 years, that I consistently get email messages that don't ask me about my experience, that don't try to sell me additional opportunity, but that simply promote membership. And I'm a paying member. So it really has to be personally compelling for members to engage with your emails. We constantly look at open rates, and open rates are a very good indication of how personally compelling emails are. One thing that we do through TRP is we send automated birthday greetings to members of our customers. Is we often see an open rate of those birthday greetings of somewhere in the neighborhood of 70%. So those are personally compelling because it's pretty obvious that members like to hear a happy birthday greeting and are opening those emails to see if there might be some sort of a gift inside. So really make sure that your emails are private, permission-based, and personally compelling. And just because E rhymes with free, you definitely want to make sure that it is not something that you're using as a substitute, as a proxy for other valuable, although paid for, marketing tools. So let's not abuse our email. And then I also want to talk about the subject to forget. Think very strongly about the subject lines that you use in your email. And we'll have some rules of the road in a minute about what qualifies as good subject lines and bad subject lines. And then I mentioned this thing called the horizon line. And you all know in your email client, there's a point where the emails that have come in that you haven't opened yet literally will drop below the horizon. If something doesn't engage someone with a powerful subject line from an emailer that they are interested in communicating with, if it doesn't engage with them quickly enough, we'll find that that subject line will drop below the horizon line, and very often that email might be unseen. So it's very, very important as we craft emails that we make sure that that subject line is something that really does compel engagement with the member. Additionally, an email must have a call to action. It must tell someone why you're communicating with them. And it shouldn't be a call to action that focuses specifically on trying to sell something to that member. We do a great deal of work with that Net Promoter Score that I mentioned earlier, and the call to action really is one that is meant to gently encourage members to participate in the improvement and the ongoing evolution of their facilities. So that call to action is real important. An email should be a conversation. It shouldn't be a pitch. We get pitches all the time, and unfortunately all the time. And it's critical to know that we're operating member facilities. So these members are paying to become part of our facilities. So we want to make sure that that we're having a conversation with those members. Additionally, we want to give members a reason to believe what we're saying. We want to make sure that the information that we're providing is true, is supportable, and really does help enhance a member's life. So the big question that I would ask you, does email set you up for success or failure? So let's not over-email. Let's be very courteous as to when we email our members, because an email inbox, it's just like a mailbox on the curb, and that's a private place where the customer can access information and messaging from people that are mailing them. And the same thing we need to leverage with email. And anytime you feel like you're sending too many emails, chances are you are. And if members begin to complain about sending too many emails, that's the time to curb, to really pull back and make sure that they understand that you're being sensitive and you're being courteous to them. So let's make sure that our emailing sets us up for success and not failure. Now here's some of the more common email fails, and these are, in my estimation, something that we want to be avoiding pretty much. One thing is bounces. I know a number of you, as I see you on the call, you've done a great deal of work to get accurate member email addresses. But invariably, because people change jobs, people move, et cetera, change their provider for their cable, et cetera, you'll find that you really do need to continuously ask your members for something that is current so that you can email them. Now, how do we do this? How do we avoid bounced emails, or at least minimize them? Well, the most important thing that we can do is make sure that members understand we're not going to abuse the privilege of communicating with members, but rather we're going to use their email address to give them valuable information that's going to enhance their club experience. And I would encourage each and every one of you to look at your past number of emails that you've sent out and give it that acid test. Has this email really made an attempt to enhance the member experience, or is it simply an attempt to communicate some sort of special or opportunity? Another thing that should not be in your inbox when you consider doing emailing are third-party lists. This is a no-no. Buying third-party lists, even though the vendor may say, oh, this is a validated list, everybody has given us permission to use it, I would stay away from them at all costs. Third-party lists tend to be largely undeliverable, so if you buy a third-party list, you'll find that probably the majority of them will bounce anyway. Also, monitor your unsubscribes. As email has become a main source of communication with members, Every once in a while, a member might just be having a bad day and say, enough already. You've sent me enough emails. I want to unsubscribe. This is your opportunity to check your unsubscribes and pick up the phone, call that member, and help that member understand why or what the unsubscribe is going to result in. And the fact that the ramifications of that are significant, because that member is essentially asking you, please don't communicate with me anymore about your club, and yet they're a paying member. Often when you explain this to a member who is unsubscribed, they will begin to understand what they have done and work with you to get resubscribed to your emailing. And then additionally, too, untargeted emails. It's of paramount importance not to send out an email to all of your customers if that email does not apply to all of your members. So making sure that the emails are targeted, even at the minimum, making sure that an email that is targeted to women only goes to women, et cetera, is very, very important. So make sure that those emails are targeted so that when I get an email in my inbox from your club, I welcome it. And I don't look there, as I often do when I get my emails from my club, and say, why are they sending me an email about membership specials? Now, granted, they may be wanting me to refer someone, but the fact of the matter is that I've referred as many people as I'm ever going to refer to this club. So getting emails that promote membership specials simply fall on deaf ears. So make sure your emails don't fall on deaf ears because they're untargeted. Another whole set of email fails are called spam. And there are a number of things that you can prevent in your email configuration to make sure that spam filters, especially when you're emailing corporate members, so who've given you their corporate email address, we want to make sure that we don't come up with what we call spammy phrases, a limited time offer, now only, really highly promotional phrases. Those are ones that can go directly into the spam in an email program. Exclamation points, we definitely want to stay away from our exclamation points. People can hear you. We don't have to stress our points with exclamation points. Stay away from all caps. These are all proven to drop what might be well-meaning communication directly to spam. And as a result, you lose the opportunity to communicate what you feel is very fundamentally important for that member to hear. For some reason, red or green fonts tend not to be very acceptable to spam filters. Sloppy HTML. If you build an email message, say as a Word document, and then you click the conversion to HTML key, that HTML, as you pour it into an email, will not be properly coded. It might be 90% there, but quite frankly, if it's sloppy, spam filters will pick that up. Additionally, too, if you put in your email one big HTML image that you can click through perhaps to your website, that tends to get picked up by spam filters as well. And certainly we don't want to put the word test in the subject line, because anytime test goes into the subject line, spam filters will absolutely pay attention to that and say, this is not an email that we want to put through to the intended recipient. This is going to spam. So let's stay away from spam. Let's make sure that those email fails are minimized. And then as a result, you'll have a much more successful opportunity to get that message across to your members. I want to talk a little bit about automated emails. And one of the things that we do at the Retention People is we really study email tools, the success of emails, the lack of success of others. And one of the things that we have really mastered is the art of sending automated emails. they provide a great deal of promise because it allows us to, as the title of this session communicated, it allows us to really send the right message at the right time. And that can be powerful. It's very powerful when you send emails at a time when a member sees it and they say, wow, how did they know that that's exactly what I'm looking for? So automated emails, targeted emails are extremely valuable when it comes to communicating with your members. And I draw your attention to this front cover of our member retention report. And this is one of the quarterly reports that we do for IRSA. It's available to you if you're an IRSA member. And if you're not an IRSA member and you'd like to have a copy of this report, Sophie or I would be very, very happy to send you this report at the end of the session today. And this really talks about emailing members and how does that improve retention. A very, very good read indeed. But there are also pitfalls to automated emails. And we want to make sure that we're constantly monitoring when we do automated emails, that we're constantly monitoring, are we sending the right message at the right time to the right audience. Great uses for automated emails include the following. New members. Imagine every time a member joins your facility, the very, very next day, they get a very personalized, very well-intended welcome message from the general manager or perhaps the sales director that closed their sale. It's a great way, it's a great welcome mat into the club. And with an automated program, you're able to set this up so that every time a new member comes into the facility and joins, you have no heavy lifting. That personalized email will go out and will engage the member right at the first date. Member journey is extremely important. One of the things that we truly focus on is that first 8-week period of a member journey. And I'm sure you'll agree with me that if we cannot properly engage a member within that first 8-week period where they are making their fitness experience part of their life, as critical as some of the other critical aspects of their life like family and job, if we're not engaging them in that first 8 weeks, they're going to have a higher tendency to drift away because they haven't really inserted fitness as a critical part of their life. So automated emails that track the member journey, that encourage members that are meeting a minimum number of visits per week, that really try to work with members that are not meeting that visit minimum is going to really help to engage those members. And it engages them at a point where they know that their club is interested, their club is watching, and it's not a case of Big Brother. It's actually a case of someone who truly cares, or an organization that truly cares about their membership and about their health and well-being. One thing that TRP does, which is extremely valuable and very, very unique, is emailing members that are at risk of dropout. So we track members' visit frequency, and we gauge that against our database. And if visit frequency begins to move to a point where that member is indicating that perhaps they might be at risk of dropout or may very well be on their last visit, we get automated emails sent to them. I mentioned Net Promoter Score, a great tool for surveying members and something that works very well. The year, which is February. That's the shortest month of the year. And we have found that when a member has not attended a facility within the past month or within the past 28 days, even the most well-intended e-communication, whether it's an email or a text message or a push message that encourages them to re-engage with that facility, that could have a negative effect. And we all agree that even though we'd like it not to be the case, that a certain proportion of our membership revenue comes from members that are occasional users or don't use our facilities at all. And we want to make sure that even the most well-intended email does not trigger communications stop after 28 days, and they will only can you all hear me? Sophie, can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, I apologize. I keep going on, and I don't realize that maybe you guys lost me for a bit. What didn't you hear? No. All right, so we were just talking about the point of no return. So 28 days, if a member has not attended a facility within that period, that's the time when even the most well-intended email might have negative effects. Let's talk about some of the newer and more exciting ways to communicate with our members. One way of communicating with our members is SMS, which is actually an acronym for Short Message Service, and it's essentially a commercial form of text messaging. Now, I mentioned that email is very private. Text messaging is more private still. And we always have to be cognizant of that fact that when we text message or SMS our members, that we're invading their space. And we're invading it well-intentioned. One thing I strongly recommend, and this applies both to emails and SMS, is take a look at your membership applications and your membership contracts and make sure that those contracts provide the member the opportunity to check a box or to say yes when it comes to communicating with them via email or text messaging. This will go a long way, because when you send a text message for which you have not had permission to send, that can create an ex-member. So let's talk a little bit about the features of SMS. And it is a 100% solution. And the reason I call it a 100% solution, think about this. You probably don't read 100% or read fully 100% of all the emails that you receive on a daily basis. But every time your smartphone goes ding and you get a text message, you look at it. So it's a tool that you can use and understand. So long as you have that member's cell phone number, it's a tool that will get their attention, obviously for a short period of time, because an SMS message can only have about 160 characters in it. But nonetheless, it does give you that opportunity to capture your audience 100% of the time. But you really want to leverage it. Let's not abuse the privilege of text messaging. So from our experience, the best practices for SMS are as follows, and there may be some others, but these are the ones that I really like. One is happy birthday. Love getting a happy birthday text message from businesses that I patronize. I think it's just a great way for them to not only recognize me, but to offer me something very special for my birthday. So a happy birthday text message with a redemption availability in it makes a whole lot of sense. I live in the northeastern United States, and we just went through probably one of the toughest winters, certainly in memory. And so many of our customers grateful for the fact that they had automated text messaging availability. And they used that to announce when clubs were going to be closed or delayed open, etc. Sophie, are you is
No,
your
I don't.
mic
I don't
open?
know. No, I don't know what that noise is, Phil. But there's background noise,
Okay.
and you're
Okay.
going in and out a bit.
Very good. Yeah, not much I can do about that.
Yeah.
I'll do my very best. And what we'll do too, folks, is as you get the recording of the webinar, if the recording is spotty, where from time to time my voice drops out, one of the things I might do is ask Sophie to send you out a slide deck so that you can follow along with the slides as well. And then finally, class changes. You know, any time that you have a schedule change within your facility, it's a great way to reach out to your members, but reaching out to those members that take advantage of those classes and letting them know that there are specific changes. So we want to make sure that we don't abuse the privilege of text messaging, but we want to make sure that, that we do use it for very, very appropriate means. We provide a great deal of automated SMS, and it allows us to do a number of things. One is it allows it to be highly targeted. We can identify specific groups within a membership that can get a text message. So if you're sending out an email for a women's-only program, you can identify only the women for whom you have cell phones. It's a great way to reach out to new members and say, welcome to our facility. We can also use it for that member journey. So if a member is not frequenting the club as often as they should, getting a gentle reminder that we're thinking of them and we want to know what we can do to help them re-engage with their facility is real important. And that really speaks to that whole risk of dropout. You know, capturing a member through a well-developed text message before they decide to leave your facility. It really does act as a safety net for those members. We talked about email fails. Now I'll talk a little bit about SMS fails. It is more private than email. It's kind of shocking to know that, you know, in your hand you're holding probably one of the most critical defining pieces of information in your life. You have your photographs. You have your oh, Sophie just texted me saying I'm going in and out with background noise. I do apologize. I don't know if it's the connection. So I'll just continue on. And again, as I said, if we find that there are dropouts in the recording, we will absolutely make sure that you get a copy of the deck. So here are some fails and things that you really want to avoid when it comes to text messaging. I mentioned earlier that you really do need to get permission to SMS a member, and so make sure that your contracts provide for that permission. Never want to acquire a third-party cell phone list. That is an absolute no-no for obvious reasons. These people don't expect to hear from you. They don't want to hear from you. And if they get a text from you, they are not going to be happy. And they're certainly not going to consider engaging with your club if they get a text message that they didn't expect. Sending too many text messages is also something to be avoided. We want to make sure that we use them judiciously. And as I mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that they're well targeted, so that when I get a text message from my club, it is meaningful to me. It's relevant to me. It's something that I can act upon. Now I want to talk a little bit about push notifications. And this is one of the real cool opportunities that a number of clubs who are having apps developed for them are being able to take advantage of. A push notification is simply, it really simply is a form of text messaging. But one of the great things about push notifications is built into the whole app system is the opportunity to give permission right there at the point of downloading an app. So if we want to make sure that everybody that we are communicating with in a mobile manner through their smartphone or through their tablet, having an app and using push notifications to communicate with that member through that app is an extraordinary way to do it, because the permission is built in. It also provides for a rich experience. You know, I don't know how many apps you have on your phone, but every time I download an app, I have a sense of ownership. And so making sure that, that you really leverage that sense of ownership, because members want to hear from you if they've downloaded your app. In the same respect that you might have an app from your broker or from ESPN or from a news source like CNN, every time you get a push message from one of those providers, you look at it and there's a sense of satisfaction, isn't there? It's a sense of belonging, and it allows you to really get people's attention if you've got breaking news or important information to send to them. So some of the best practices for push notifications are certainly club news, any changes within the club, welcoming new staff members, adding new programs, etc. Another great way to utilize push messaging is to have offers that are only available if a member has downloaded your app, and then promote that within your facility. The fact that, that by having the app, by downloading the app, and by using the app, they will get offers from their facility that aren't available to the general member public. Member targeting is a very, very important aspect of the app platform, and it's something that, that quite frankly, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, that we're partnering with a terrific app developer called MyGym, and we're going to be building in TRP tools into the MyGym app that allows for clubs to target member groups and send these well-defined targeted messages to specific members who have downloaded the app. I think the app is a fantastic tool for anything that's scheduled within your facility, like group fitness or a personal training appointment or small group trainings. But the app is a really cool way to kind of give people a key to like the inner sanctum. And when they get that key to the inner sanctum by downloading their app, you have not only permission, but members have an appetite, no pun intended, for getting your information. So push notifications are a great way to communicate with members. So here are some other best practices: club news, app-only offers, social updates, club events, member targeting, group fitness, personal and small group training. So here are some takeaways for today. We're at about 15 minutes before the hour, and I want to provide some time for some Q&A. But here are the takeaways that I'd like you to consider from today's session. As we look at e-communications, which includes email, SMS, and push messaging, is it a double-edged sword? Well, the fact is, in fact, it is. And we want to make sure that we're leveraging this tool, but leveraging it effectively in such a way that we provide balance. And that might also mean, too, that there are certain things that you communicate only by email, that you don't communicate by text or push messaging, etc. So really having balance in your e-communications is important. Looking at automated emails, the promise, the power, and the pitfalls, I think is something that everyone should consider, because developing email campaigns is a labor-intensive process. So if you can set up a program whereby emails go out automated to members based upon their behaviors, their member types, etc., you're going to save yourself a lot of time and a lot of energy, but members will be communicated with in a very, very personal manner. Also, remember that point of no return. And we call it 28 days. Let's make sure that we know that there are pitfalls in communicating with members who haven't been in your facility for the last month. We want to leverage SMS very carefully, and we want to use push notifications the way it should be used, and that is to provide people access to that inner sanctum of your facility, to get communications, to get opportunities that the general public can't get, because that's going to actually increase the uptake of your app. And so this is all part of becoming masters in what we call customer experience management, or CEM. And we define it as such. It is the practice of continuously closing the gap between an organization's customer promise and the delivered customer experience. It allows you to help create a dependable population of customer advocates, those promoters in Net Promoter speak. And also allows you to transform the voice of the customer into actionable business intelligence. You can actually track your success very, very clearly when it comes to e-communications. I'm going to take some questions in a moment. So again, improve the customer experience, promote customer loyalty, increase income by improving member retention and increasing referrals. A lot of what we've talked about today really revolves around this product here that TRP provides, which is called Digital. And it's a fully integrated automated email and text platform. Very, very exciting product, and a product that's being leveraged by literally dozens of facilities around the country to great success. Our Commit to Success program is powered by our digital tool, as is our Net Promoter Score program. So these are really aspects of our product offering that are driven through that e-communications channel. And our objective is really not to replace your communication with your member. We truly believe that the best interaction that you can have with members is face-to-face, and the next best is via phone. But we're a busy society, and so getting those small bites of information through email, through text messaging, and through push notification that engages a member with their facility is very important. And we've got a couple of things coming soon. One thing that I mentioned earlier is we've got this great partnership now with MyGym, and we're actually going to be building in some TRP tools into the MyGym app, and stay tuned for that. And then this summer we have a new online meal planning and healthy eating system that's coming out called Nutrition Complete. And the way we see it is Nutrition Complete really does complete the picture of health and well-being, because you can work out, but if you're not eating healthy, the results simply won't be there. So those are some things coming soon from TRP. What I'd like to do now is give you the opportunity to connect with us, and let's take some questions. If anyone has a question, please feel free to type it in. Okay, this is one question. Can I do push messaging without an app? The answer is no. Push messaging is really, it's a function of the application. So to have an app means you have that opportunity to communicate with members through push messaging. Tell me a little bit about your automated email capability. Well, I'd love to tell you a lot about it, and what I'm going to suggest that you do is you take a deep dive with Sophie, who's on the line. And Sophie is actually, excuse me, I just went back to the wrong screen here. There we go. So Sophie is on the line, and she will be very happy to engage with any of you who want to take a deeper dive into our digital system. Any other questions? Let's see here. Here's one. Suggestions on how to word emails for at-risk members. Worry that when I contact them, it will flag them to cancel. There is an absolute, and thank you for that question, there's an absolute art to crafting email messaging that doesn't compel a member to cancel. But one of the most important things that we can do is let's apply that 28-day rule. If you check your attendance logs and you see members that have not been in your facility for a month, you're best not to reach out to them because that could trigger a cancellation. Do we recommend texting for declined members or collections? And the answer is no. That when you text someone, you're not exactly sure where they are or what they're doing, and if they get a text that that is asking them for payment, it can be a little bit of an embarrassing situation. So I would strongly recommend that if you're having trouble collecting from a member, reach out to them and have a discreet and private conversation with them. So there are a couple of very good questions there. I know we had a couple of technical difficulties where the voice was dropping out a bit, so we'll be happy to send you the slide deck so that when you listen to the webinar, you'll also be able to follow along and capture the information that maybe was missed through the dropouts. So here are some ways to connect with TRP, and then I'll let you go. We've got the North American Member Loyalty Study, and this is a study where we're trying to gather about 150,000 members to participate across North America, and we're well on our way to getting toward that number, and we're basically tracking and benchmarking the Net Promoter Score for the entire North American fitness industry. And currently that Net Promoter Score lies at 43. Now, those of you who don't know about Net Promoter Score, 43 won't mean a whole lot to you. So I'd strongly suggest that you connect with Sophie and make sure that, that she give you a little explanation of what Net Promoter Score is all about. You can go to the website, theretentionpeople.com. We've got a number of research articles that are available, very timely, very good information. We do webinars on a regular basis, and we will be doing a webinar on that nutrition product, Nutrition Complete, that I mentioned a little bit ago. And then here are our contacts. So feel free to contact Sophie. Claire is our general manager, and then there is me. And these are our direct lines. So I encourage you to write them down. If you want to give us a call, we do answer our phones, or shoot us an email, and we will get right back to you. So it's been great spending this time with you. I'll just double check one last time to see if there are any additional questions. What if we only text that there is a situation with their accounts? Okay, so that's a follow-on question. It might be best to just text them and say, we have a question for you. Can you please call the club? I don't want to surprise people with something that could even be remotely embarrassing. Here's a question. Can I provide the definition of CEM again? Absolutely. Let me do that for you. And I'm going to back up in my presentation here. Just going to hang on one second. So here's the definition of CEM as we see it. And again, when we send you the slides, you'll have this in the deck. The practice of continuously closing the gap between an organization's customer promise and the delivered customer experience. We want to help create a dependable population of customer advocates, and we want to transform the voice of the customer into actionable business intelligence, using what the customer says and what the customer feels about our facilities to proactively improve their experience is real important. I don't see any other questions. So what I'm going to do now